Good day, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Got a few little fixer-upper things to do today. Also, I haven't videoed in a little while because we've had so many kids. But, yeah, it's just been kind of crazy around here. And when it gets crazy, I focus on the work that needs to be done, not videoing. But today, got some extra time. So, update for the kids. We've got 8 or 9 in here. And there's a whole whack of them in here. But, oh, also, you guys haven't seen that yet. That's the mom replacer. We call it the mom replacer because my mom used to make all the milk with a drill and pails. And then we got that thing that does it automatically. So, it's called an eco feeder, but we call it the mom replacer. Today, especially, I was milking the other day and the goats broke the feed trough. I've already taken the piece off, but we're gonna go manufacture a new one. And once we got it manufactured, we're gonna come back and fix it. We did have one more new one, as you can hear, yesterday at lunch. Little boy. Anyways, I'm gonna get to go making that piece and we'll see you over there. So I'm over here at a shop where I'm able to grab some parts. I've got that piece I took off the trough there that I showed you in the parlor. I traced it out, added the piece that was missing to it, and got my new one. Now I'm going to make a second one as a spare because when we made the first one, it was identical to the other one that's on the other side. So when that one breaks or when there's another one that breaks or whatever, I'll have a spare one and then this one. Then they won't be able to knock it off and be so annoying so often. So I got a piece here that's been cut from before. I'm going to find another spot on there to match this one up. Trace it out, cut it out, and we're back in business. Just like that. We got 2. So I still have the old piece. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to overlap them together, line them all up nicely, perfectly, and then I'm going to use the old holes from the old one that we used to bolt in to drill the new ones as kind of like a marker plate so that I don't have to try to figure that out when I get back to the barn there. We're just gonna do it all now. Oh, we got that new piece all made up. Perfect. We had it on an ice cream bucket to keep it off the ground. And I made it tall enough that they can't get it out. My last words was they can't. They probably could. All fixed. On to the next project. All right, so I'm going to explain to you. Hold on, let me adjust you a little bit there. I'm going to explain to you a little bit as to how and what this thing, this as you can see, our mom replacer here. So this is, as you see, it's got Grober nutrition on it. It's not actually made by Grober. You can buy them through Grober, yes, but they're not an actual Grober machine. It's actually a Forester Tech. You'll see her here on the dash. That's the actual make of who makes these things. Okay, so how it works. I'm going to explain to you how this works. I'm going to open this up here so you guys can see. It is a little dirty, so I will be showing you how I clean it and how that's all done. So, but it's all programmable, okay? So right now it's in auto mode. The number that you see here on the dash, this is how many mixes it's made. There you go, they're drinking right now. Okay, so what you just saw was it dumped a little bit of powder out here. That's all timed, okay? So I have to program it. I don't need to program that today. I like to check it every other week. I already did it last weekend, so I don't need to do that for a little while. But what it does is it counts it by seconds. So what it does is I take the timer, so many seconds, I want so much powder for so much water. Now this doesn't hold a whole pile of water, as you see. My mix right now is 400 milliliters. And they call for 150 grams of powder per liter. So I did all the math and we programmed it all, got it all fixed. Perfect. It also, this thing has, it heats the water before it puts it in the mix. And then it also, these here are heating coils here. So it keeps the milk at that perfect temperature that you need it to be. Now, I'm not feeding Grober milk powder because it is a heck of a lot more expensive than the stuff that I'm using now. But it's all the same concept, so it works in the machine. Also, this here whole compartment fits an entire bag nicely. So as long as you, there's a number of different things that I can go over and explain to you. But this thing is good for, they say it can feed up to 180 kids, I believe. And there are enough spots to put 8 lines. I've made my own little homemade brackets here. These stainless brackets come with, and the nipples and the pieces in behind. But I had a wood piece before and it got so yucky, as you can see here. It gets dirty, they jump on it, milk spills in there, whatever. If you get milk soaking into wood, it's gross, it's disgusting. So we made this whole compartment here area out of plastic, and then we made this, it's the 6-inch pipe, but we made it a little bit smaller in order to fit the special bracket, and then the bolts around it to hold it on so that I can clean that. Every time I clean the unit, I can replace that, which the machine requests you, the manufacturer requests you to do that every other day. So if you're feeding milk in pails or a mob feeder and you say this thing is going to save me time, you're wrong. It doesn't. It does and it doesn't, because it's going to take me half an hour to an hour to clean this thing. Whereas if I had to make pails for these kids 3 times a day, it'd be about the same amount of time, plus, again, doing it the next day. By the time you add all that time up, you got a little less time. The trick and the nice part about this unit is consistency. With pails, when you make milk pails or a mob feeder, your milk will cool down over time because it's cool in the barn. You don't have the barn as hot as the milk needs to be to keep it that temperature. If you have other means to keep it that temperature, I'd love to hear your comments and to know how you do it. But As for us, this works really good this way. It also allows constant milk for them to drink all the time. When we made pails, they got fed 3 times a day. Well, they would gorge themselves full of pails and not have any more till the next time we fed them. So they got fed the 6 hours from morning feeding till lunch feeding, 6 hours from lunch till night, and then 12 hours from night till the next morning, right? So very inconsistent, and I'm not about to get up in the middle of the night to make more milk. Sorry, that just doesn't happen for me. As for knowing how to make the mix, there's a little sensor back in the bottom, down in there. When the milk gets to the bottom of the sensor, it says, hey, we're running low on milk. Let's put some more in there. Also, what is it? I don't even know what it is, but every once in a while it remixes. So what you just heard a second ago was that mixer just doing its thing. For cleaning, you can turn the auto mode off, and then they have these things here that you can use for adding water in. So I can just hit this button when it's in auto off and it'll fill up. And then they also tell you want to raise the temperature, so then you'll have to go to set, crank the temperature so you got nice hot water. I cheat. I just use straight hot water from the sink mixed with detergent, dump it in there, hit that mix button, it mixes it, cleans it. I do that 4 times and it's clean. I don't bother changing the temperature and doing all that fun stuff. And then right after I'm done doing that, I take these nipples and these brackets and I wash all them in the sink, tidy all that up, make it nice and clean, use a little bit of chlorine in there to kill any bacteria that could possibly be on any of those surfaces. The kids generally get thirsty when I'm around making noise or bothering them. Then they're like, hey, I want something to drink. So it could be a very good thing that I'm around a lot, and it could also be a bad thing. Okay, I've gathered all my parts and tools. We're ready to start cleaning this. Now, I cannot clean it while, now they decided to have more to drink again. I cannot clean it unless all the lines are blocked. So what we did was, instead of putting the plugs back in the end, we made these short little pipes here. And these pipes, we just connected together, and then they do wash everything through. And then, of course, we wash these after in the sink over there when I have the other lines back on. So I work in tight quarters here, so I apologize if you're not able to see everything. I made it tight quarters because the shorter the lines are, the less cold milk that's in the line when they want to drink after they've had a little bit of drink. That's the only kind of sort of a downfall, is that from where the reservoir is on the machine to the nipple, there's a little bit of a bow in there, and that milk doesn't stay the proper temperature, so that'll cool down. But if you've got a really eager kid, 3 or 4 sucks and you're into the warm water, and then the warm milk, and then they just want to keep drinking after that because it's perfect milk, right? Doesn't want to turn off. I'm gonna have to shut the power off. Perfect, we're all good. Okay, kids, keep drinking. Well, while I wait for them to finish drinking the milk out, I take these nuts and washers off the back of the brackets that we made. Hey, I turned this off. Thank you. Empty that. And then I pull the lines off. Put this line on. Connect it with this one. Then I take my hot water with detergent in it. I fill it up pretty much most of the way. As you can see, I'm a couple inches down, and then you just hit this. Oh, come on, really? There we are. And then it's got a timer, counts down. That's how long it spins it, and cleans itself right up. While I wait for that, I take all these things out so I can clean them. So now that it's done its initial rinse, I like to just get in those last couple corners that it may have missed, and up top here with my brush. And down below, even though this could all be very well super clean, I just like to get in there and give it that good scrub. And then I'll top it up. And start it again. I do that again, like I said before. I do that for about whatever that bucket holds. I think it's about 4 mixes. It's all the same water, but of course every time it's fresh, it's new. The first one, as you saw, was really milky and really yucky. This one is already a fair bit cleaner. So by the time I get to the last one, you can hardly even notice that there's any change in water. Then you know it's nice and clean. After every time I clean it, I reset the count. Right now this is the temperature of the water. It's raising that temperature up to bring it to where it's got to be. But I like to zero this so that I know how many mixes they drink. It's zeroed, now it's raising the temperature. The chart that I got off the bag of milk replacer says it wants it between 47 and 50 degrees. So it's got to bring it up to that. Now that I'm all done and everything's nice and clean, they always go gung-ho. They love it when everything is freshly clean. So you guys can see a mix. And there you have it. Because I know you guys are going to ask me a question. Eric, what's this tank for? This machine, in order to have your calibration correct all the time, you have to have the same amount of water pressure or water going through the line into the chamber all the time. Now, you're never going to know that unless it's like a constant source. So I have this tank. They give you, when you buy the machine, they give you a tank that you're supposed to set at a certain height, and then you can hook it up to your water source. Why do you need that little line? Because your water pump in our North American climate here, we have water pumps from your well, from a pond, from a cistern, wherever. But it has a range. It turns on at, say, 50 psi turns off at 60 or 70. Well, you're going to get a lot more water in that unit if it's at the 70 psi versus the 50 psi. Therefore, it throws off the mix. Now, they give you a small bucket that you can, it's got a little float switch in there so you can run your tap water into there. But my water here on the farm isn't the greatest for these kids. So I wanted to medicate the water, to treat it, to bring down the levels that were in there. But I didn't want to stand there all day dumping a little bit in that bucket to do that. So I got this bigger bucket. Yes, it does throw off the mix a little bit, but not near as much because it's not pressurized. Also, I don't fill this bucket all the way. I wish I could, but I can't. I only fill it up to about 30 gallons. This is a 40-gallon bucket. So that's how I do it. Also, when I'm able to do it in this big bucket, this completely full, theoretically completely full, and these kids being later, that should last me easily a day or two. Right now, I fill it halfway, and that lasts me like 3 days. The water's still good. The water that I put in there also, just so you know, is not from my tap. I'm picking that water up from my mom and dad's farm. They have pigs. They have a water purification filter bed. When I talk about water purification, you're like, Eric, there's no such thing as pure water. Listen, this water is so good, it eats the rust off of a steel tank if you leave it in there long enough. Don't believe me? Believe me, it's true. Okay? So, also, I'm able to, having it in this bucket, I'm able to regulate how much medication I put in there. Also, I can put other stuff in there too. And I can keep this water really fresh. I got a little bucket in the back of my pickup. I run over there, I fill that bucket up. I got a little pump, hook that up, boom, got this hose over here, fill that up. I'm good for a few days. No big deal. Now, I tell you, your water is important. I never used to think this in my entire life, but what you put in, you get back out. And the importance of water is incredible. Even yourself, drinking good water, it cleans you out nicely, keeps you hydrated properly, all that fun stuff. I have never, since I put this bucket in, not the mom replacer, but since I put this bucket in and switched to that water, my mortality rate has dropped significantly. We see a lot less that get sick and just dive off being on that water. So if you're not a believer, you'll have to try it out sometime. Maybe I'll bring you some. How about that? That's going to be a wrap on this video. We thank you everybody for watching. What else am I supposed to say? Oh yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Also, I guess not everybody knows this, but we do take your comments seriously. I personally read them all. I really look forward to the comments, what you guys have to say, what you don't have to say. Just because we don't reply to all of them, I know there may not be that many, but just because we don't reply to them does not mean that we don't see them or read them. Also, there are a couple of you that have asked some really good questions that have not been reply worthy via writing back in the comments. We are going to post a couple more videos coming up that will answer those questions specifically to those people. So stay tuned. And again, thank you very much. God bless.